So for the next system, I wanted something whereby I didn't have to water the plants the whole time. With some of these plants, they're having to be watered once and twice a day, especially when I'm away. This causes a problem. So I've been looking absolutely everywhere to find a system that will water my plants when I want them, even when I'm away. And most of the systems out there were very, very expensive until I came across one of these. This is a fogger or water mister. What happens is you place this inside the container that you've got, you put it into very shallow water, and the idea is that it creates fog. The fog will carry on around the container and keep your plants well hydrated. Now, this is well suited to a system that's not utilizing soil, because this has to sit in water of at least 2 inches deep. You won't be able to use soil, but if you're using a system whereby your plants are sitting in pots, the pots are either sitting directly in the water or the pots are floating on top of the water and the plant roots are sitting in the water, and these little misters are perfect. The other way you can do it is to place your soil in containers that are floating inside the actual main container. It's perfect for when you are using pots or when you're using pieces of bogwood or rock, stuff like that, which can sit in the water, and it will keep your plants misted the whole day. Now, you don't want one of these things on all the time. The idea is to put it on a timer and let it switch on for about 30 minutes in the morning and then 30 minutes in the evening. This is something you're going to have to judge. So for this kind of system, I'm going to use one of these plastic tubs. This is an A4 box, and I'm going to place the water fogger inside this. So now you've got a bit of added extra cost. Your box, your container cost you a few quid, and one of these foggers, they cost about 10 quid with the power supply. It's not that expensive. They will last you more than a year. So all in all, you now are looking at maybe a cost of 15 or 20 pounds to set up a system like that, depending if you're going to be using natural light or artificial light. So I'm now going to quickly set up a box like this to show you how it works. So as you can see, the water is about 2 inches deep there, and it's creating this fine fog. So what you would do is you would put your potted plants in there. The bottom part of the pot would be in the water, and the leaves will be exposed outside in the air, but it will be kept moist by this fog that envelops it. So I'm going to put the lid on now, and we're going to see how quickly this thing fills up. So I'm going to place a potted plant in here so that you can see the idea. So as you can see, the pot is sitting in the water so that the roots are exposed to the water, but the leaves are sitting out with. Now there's different ways of doing this. You can also float the pots in this tank to get the same effect. So as you can see, this plant is now sitting in a thick soup of water mist, and this will keep the leaves damp but still supply a lot of CO2. So I'll leave this running for about 30 minutes and I'll have it come on maybe twice a day. And that is sufficient for most plants to keep them in a very high humidity level. It has only taken about 5 minutes, and this container is now half full with water vapor. In another 5 minutes it will be completely full. So are there any drawbacks with the system? Well, yes. Once again, this is very plant specific. Some plants don't like these conditions. Also, it is better suited to potted plants or hardscapes rather than plants in soil. And thirdly, you now need electrical supply with a timer, because you don't want the system running all the time. Okay, if you're going to be using potted plants, you can sit them directly in the water. If you use the normal plastic pots you can buy on any of the shops like eBay or Amazon, the water level comes up nicely just to the bottom of the pot, and that means that the roots will always be in the water and the leaves of the plant will be in the air. Now there is a way of floating these pots, and the cheapest and quickest method happens to be polystyrene. You get a small sheet of polystyrene and make a couple of small holes in it, enough for the pot to sit in. So now the pot is floating. So you can actually raise the level of the water. The roots will now float free in these pots. The leaves are still above the water. Now, one thing you do need to consider when you're using the floating system is that you're going to have to raise the little mister. You're going to have to put it onto something to raise it, because it needs to be just beneath the surface of the water, otherwise it won't work. So why would you want to float the plants free with the roots dangling in the water? That will grow extremely rapidly if their roots are free flowing in the water like that. So this system replicates a rainforest where it's constantly foggy. Now, with rainforest in mind, I'm now going to show you my third method whereby I raise some of my plants.